feel like you're looking for excuses, Ronny, a little bit.
I don't know how to feel about this. I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed.
As much as I want to say the 2.8 tows really well, I don't know that it will.
Comparing towing from stock to stock has been done to death. We all know that the V8 is a slug in stock form. I've decided to pin up the tuned V8. This is tuned for towing against the stock new 2.8 automatic. Which of these two machines has better fuel economy when it tows? And why this sucks for reversing a trailer? And does the auto get too hot when it tows?
And for deeper insight, I've invited my mate Harry, who has
3 years, 80,000 Ks, towing just about everything with the 2.8 litre Prado. I want to feel if the power's different, I want to feel if the gearbox feels any different, if they've made any improvements, or if it's basically just a Prado with crappy leaf spring.
Combining my 10 years experience towing with a V8 70 series. Ultimately, will this do a good enough job? Let's find out. For this towing test, I've chosen an 80-kilometre route. 40 k's there, 40 k's back. This route passes over a well-known big, long hill that will test anyone towing a caravan or even a camper trailer. So it's not just my input, Harry and myself will swap vehicles at the halfway mark. This allows us both to get an in-depth feel of how each vehicle tows, but also how it feels when it doesn't tow. During the test, the towing vehicle must maintain 100 kilometers per hour as long as it can. To calculate fuel down to the litre, we are filling up at the end of both runs. And to monitor the temperatures on the 2.8 70 series auto, we have a scan gauge fixed and looking at it the entire time. There were some huge surprises during this towing test, and some were hard to believe for both of us. At the start of this whole thing, I thought this was going to be quite predictable.
In my mind, this test was already made up.
Honestly, you could have, I would have bet any money, I would have bet my Prado that thing would smoke it up the hill.
Knowing how heavy this caravan is, because I've towed it with the V8 79 just recently, I have my doubts how the 76 is going to handle going up this hill. And here we go, we have started. I'm sitting at 100, I'm going to try my best to maintain that 100. It's doing it pretty good, but it's definitely chewing the fuel going up, as you'd expect anyway. Hovering just over 600 now, and I'm still feeding it. Pretty much maintain 97, 100 k's per hour the whole way.
So, power-wise, it seemed like you kept up, stayed at 100, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, stayed at 100 the whole way. Maybe 97 I dropped to.
Did you miss the manual? Did you miss being able to kind of lock it into a gear, or did you find it all right?
Just as I was thinking that in my head, it went from 5th to 4th, and then sort of just powered
and it
up.
just did what you wanted it to
Yeah,
do. It did what you would have done.
Yeah.
These things really start to pull at 1800, and they're surprising, but the auto is quite well tuned. It does hold it in that sweet spot quite well, I found.
It got to a point where the EGTs went all the way up to 600, didn't really go further, and then it just dropped back. Felt like it was running out of power, and I was like, here we go. And then geared down and just keep going. That's pretty impressive for the 76 series, considering it is 2.5 ton dry and just under 3 ton with water and gas on board. I'm expecting this thing, because it's tuned, to do this easy. Will it do better, or will it be on par with the 76? 500 EGT, boosting hard, losing power, dropping down to 90.
I'm at 1700 RPM in 6th.
Dropping down to 80.
That's really interesting. The 76 held 100 the whole way up.
It's a serious hill. I can't get over 80 now. Even gear it down and up. I can't break 80 in the 79. I just can't.
I am genuinely shocked.
I'm in 4th gear as well, just not enough there.
That is wild.
I mean, it is a bloody nasty hill. It's a long one.
It is, but this thing just did it at 100.
Yeah, I know.
That's the biggest shock of this whole thing.
Look, I have cracked 100 before on this hill, and that's towing smaller trailers, but I'll never turn a caravan up a hill like this though.
But like for like, same day, same weight, same conditions, and it can't do it, and this is just mind-blowing.
It just started falling away slowly. It got to this point where it's like it wouldn't do anymore, and then just slowly dropped. I even geared back to third at one stage.
Yeah, right. I was going to ask if you did third, yeah.
Yeah, I did third for a short time. It was revving his nuts off, and then I went back to fourth, and then it got me like an extra 2 k's per hour, and then it went back again. Surely no one expected that. I don't know how to feel about this. I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed. It's like your child disappointing you with something that they should be able to do. I mean, I look at it, I can't be mad at it, but I don't know what happened. I've never towed up a hill like that with a big caravan like that, and it just lost its guts. Like, it wouldn't go any further. And I don't really want to tune it any harder, but then you put it against a stock 2.8 litre automatic and it just holds 100 the whole way. It's phenomenal. The EGTs didn't get too high in this. It just got to a point where it's like, I've got no more power for you, basically.
I feel like you're looking for excuses, Ronny, a little bit.
I feel like I am looking for excuses, yeah. I do.
Sounds like a lot of excuses to me. It sounds like the 4-cylinder pulls it up the hill faster than the 8-cylinder. And I think that's pretty much all there is to it. Yes, the tyres are bigger on that car, but the ratios actually make up for it, so this was doing less revs. Overall, it just pulls harder. What do you say?
If you thought that was surprising, wait till you see the fuel figures, the fuel calculations, which will be towards the end. Downhill control, I have to say that, yeah, okay, I agree with you.
Not even a shadow of doubt.
Yeah.
Proper engine braking, the handling is better, it feels much more solid going downhill for sure.
So with the 2.8, you try and you gear down, the van just pushes you down the hill. It just doesn't really do anything. I'm not basing that on that car, I'm basing that on my car, and I think that's a pretty fair thing to say. It just doesn't have as much compression as the big V8, so this is definitely better for compression braking.
But even going downhill without a trailer, you have to feed a bit of acceleration to keep up the speed.
You actually do, it's quite weird.
You could go to manual on that, and I have done that.
I do
Flick it over.
I do it all the time.
And then you can control it, but you have to.
This runs away a lot more.
Yeah, it does.
And then the handling is not as good, so it's worse.
Yeah. Power haul mode. When you have a power button inside your vehicle, you generally just get longer revs and snappier throttle. Turns out this does a little bit more than that. It completely changes the vehicle dynamics. And here's Harry's thoughts coming from a Prado and comparing it directly to a Prado.
The tow haul mode is weird. It drives very differently to this. It holds gears for heaps longer. The temperatures in it definitely stay much cooler, but it's sitting at like 2900 RPM. Mine doesn't really do that. Mine kind of sits a bit lower, sort of 2500, and seems to pull quite well. There's also this real dead spot when you take off. It's actually fine off the mark, which my Prado is not at all. It's really slow off the mark. Mine goes really well off the mark, and then this one goes well off the mark and then dies for like 500 RPM and then goes again.
The dead spot Harry is talking about is the 80 kilometer per hour during power and haul mode. It just sucks. This vehicle in haul mode does not like to sit in 80 k's per hour. It gets stuck in a fourth gear, really revving high, and I can see on the fuel gauge that it's sucking fuel. I actually switched it back to normal mode because it tows better at 80 kilometers per hour without haul mode. It's weird, but anything above 80 and under 80 is excellent. You got to use that button, especially if you're towing something heavy like 2.9 ton. Quite impressive, except for 80 k's per hour. That sucks. Right, let's see how the brakes go. Down from 100. Braking, I personally found this being slightly better. It has a brake booster. See how well this pulls up. This feels slightly better, but pretty close.
Handling when braking was much better, and then the actual brakes were better. So big difference in the way it handles braking though. Like the way it moves around and stuff like that, definitely.
For the audience watching, this has upgraded brake booster and it was absolute crap before.
As a stock,
you have to upgrade
as a stock V8, those things don't stop.
I'll tell you what, when I first upgraded it, I had nothing on the back, I nearly ate the steering wheel. The fuel figures are in. Now we've done this the proper way. We haven't relied on the instrumentation in the vehicles.
Actual diesel in the tank and Ks by GPS.
The 79 series not towing is 16.7. The new 70 2.8 litre auto not towing is 10.7. So that's 6 litres per 100 better than the 79.
When it comes to towing, it went up another 6 litres per 100. So that went up to 16.6, and that went up to 22.8.
Yes. Let's compare these figures. The 4-cylinder 76 series general driving burns 10.7 litres per 100. Compare that to the V8, 16.7 litres per 100 kilometres. 4-cylinder 76 series tows 2.9 tonne at 16.6 litres per 100. That is impressive. V8 79 series, 22.8 litres per 100 kilometres. That means the 76 series can tow a caravan just under 3 tonne and burn the same amount of fuel as my tuned V8.
Mate, what's the go with the fuel? Where does it all go?
See the black on the trailer?
Yeah, true.
Yes, the V8 is tuned, so you'd think it'll burn more fuel. Well, not when it's tuned for towing, as stock mode actually burns more fuel when towing, and it runs really hot in stock form. On the other hand, we do have to consider the extra 200 to 300 kilos of accessories bolted to my 79 series V8, the bigger tyres, the bigger rolling diameter. But I kind of feel like I'm making excuses here. It shouldn't impact it that much, considering that the 76 can tow and then burn as much as a tuned V8. Most V8s getting around out there do burn that much fuel. That's what surprises me, because it's a big donk. Normally when you put a bit of weight on this, you load them up, they don't change that much in the fuel consumption, but man, when you tow something that big, it makes a big difference. Well, we all look to the big V8 as a good towing vehicle, but we never really think about fuel efficiency. Now that there's something else out that has a smaller engine and can actually tow better and burns less fuel, we are in interesting times when it comes to towing vehicles.
And the performance, like no one saw that coming.
Nah,
no one saw that coming. Like both of us were like, all right, how much worse is the 2.8?
Yeah, it's like the tuned V8.
The tuned V8. Like
it's
what
tuned
else?
for towing.
Like it's unbelievable. It's actually genuinely like shocking.
The ratios in this thing are just awesome.
Well, it turns out the best way to make a 79 series go well is chuck 4 of the cylinders in the bin and do this. This thing pulled better up the hill than the 79. You can blame all the tyres you bloody well want. It pulled harder. It did better. It's a really good tow vehicle.
We are playing a bit of leapfrog with the camera car, and every time I go to take off again, it takes off really nice actually. So you can get out with a good amount of speed.
Pulling out in traffic or pulling off the side of the road, this one gets off the mark better.
You reckon?
Yeah, but I reckon that one gets to kind of highway speeds at 80, 100 much quicker than that.
Fine with the 79, you got to really play with that clutch. You can't give it too much. Find that change between first and second.
Yeah.
You have to nail it with a load on the back,
Yeah.
because if you change it at the wrong time and you get that, it completely stuffs
This
you
is
up.
easy to get up to pace.
It's definitely easier.
You just mash your foot.
Yeah.
And you're good. So for inexperienced drivers, like 100%.
Yeah. Reversing with these two vehicles, the manual locking hub, I can set it to 3.
Yeah.
I can go low range,
Yeah.
I can reverse. Here's what I mean. With the older style, this being a 2013, I have the option to go free or locked. So when I'm in four-wheel drive, high or low inside the vehicle, it is not engaged unless I go locked. Now it's in four-wheel drive. Go to 3, you have a 3.5 tonne caravan on the back, or a 3 tonne caravan on the back. You now have low range gearing in 2-wheel drive, and you can reverse up so much easier. That's why it's so good having this option here. The auto and locked version, you have no choice. There's no way of putting it into 3. Auto or locked will give you 4-wheel drive, which kind of sucks. However, the automatic does make up for it a little bit. So the only thing it's got going for it is it's being auto. You can use the torque converter a bit and just rest on the accelerator to try and move it.
I'd actually put it in haul mode because it moves quite well in haul mode. It's not too bad. It's a lot better than a manual in the same situation. I reckon a manual with auto hubs would suck extra badly.
As Harry mentioned, having the auto-locked hubs on the new V8 manual is an absolute balls up. They actually put this into place since 2016.
What do you think of this as a towing tourer?
Mate, if I was going to get one to tow around Australia, I think it might be one of the best on the market. It's tough. It's very refined now. It pulls hard.
That's a big statement.
And it's for the price. I've never, ever, ever had an appeal. There's never been any appeal to me to get a 70 series until this.
Wow. I've got no words. I've got no words. I mean, this just been clearly better the whole way through. The tyres, the 33s, the 35s. The 33s I've got no doubts about, but I still want to know how it behaves.
Yeah.
But the 35s, that's where I have my doubts.
There are still some questions to be answered, but the signs are bloody good.
Yeah, they are pretty good, aren't they? They are pretty good, aren't they? I'm getting excited. We've got the 33s. They're going to go onto this beast very soon. I want to know how much fuel this burns with 33s. Now, if you want to know more about the 2.8 and my in-depth thoughts about it, head over to the 4-Wheel Drive podcast. In fact, just 2 days ago, I released my in-depth thoughts about the towing with this vehicle and the 79 series. And there are heaps more episodes over there already. So check it out, the 4-Wheel Drive podcast. There'll be a link somewhere.